So you want to loop Killer Shack, huh? Well, let me show you how it's done. Today, I'm going to be showing you guys how to loop Killer Shack as Survivor and as Killer, what to look out for, different tactics against different killers, and try to keep it down in a short video. So if you have any more questions, be sure to leave them in the comments or stop by on my Twitch when I'm live, and I'll be sure to answer there as well. Enjoy the video. Okay, so right now we're on the Suffocation Pit, which is a pretty standard Killer Shack. So generally when you're looping Shack, it depends what angle you're going to be coming in from. Like, let's say I'm being looped this direction, I'm going to want to come into Shack, and depending on how much distance I have will dictate whether I have to drop the pallet, also if I'm healthy or not. But if you have enough distance, you want to, every time you vault the window, you want to have a running start to it, so that way you can get a fast vault. So I'm gonna quickly show everyone what the different vaults are. This is a slow vault. Doesn't give a sound notification. This is a medium vault. And then this is a fast vault. The difference between a medium and a fast vault can sometimes be the difference between a hit, right? So every time you're lining up for a window, you should always be going at an awkward angle, just so you can hit the window straight on, right? So like, if I'm wrapping around this way, if I have enough distance, I'm gonna go like this, and then I'm either gonna commit to the window vault, or if the killer's too close and they'll hit me no matter what, last second I'm gonna turn away, and hopefully the killer's gonna swing for that and miss, right? So generally, every time you're going for the window, you want to make sure you're able to get a fast vault, just like that. And also, doing this will allow you to look at the killer and see what they're doing. If the killer runs up to this doorway, and they see you're about to hit the window, so they immediately turn off and start going this way, last second, you can just not vault the window, and then just keep running this way, right? It's all about reading the killer. Now, every killer is different as well. There are certain killers that you have to loop the Shack in a certain way. Like, if you're versing a Trapper, Michael Myers, you can loop it almost any way possible. It's a standard loop. It is what it is. You can come at it from any direction for the most part. But if you're looping a Huntress, you should always try to not run in from this angle. Because if you're a Huntress and you're standing right here, when I'm about right here, you're probably going to have a hatchet charge, and if I commit to the window vault, boom, that's a hit, right? So ideally, if you can help it, you don't want to put yourself in this situation. You don't want to put yourself in this situation. So if you can help it, always come, say there's a Huntress behind me, I'm going to go like this, hopefully not get hit by a hatchet there, and then take a wide angle. And then once I see her, if I see her come inside, I double back this way. If I see her come this way, I'm gonna hit the window vault. Now you gotta be careful. More skilled players will hide their red stain, which means you won't get that early heads up. So it's good to sort of just feel how it's gonna go. And you can also, if you're not comfortable with vaulting it, like if you don't know where she is, don't vault, just keep running this way. Then she'll have to charge a hatchet and try to hit you. And then now she's out of position out there, and you're inside the Shack, or you can keep running around the Shack. The same thing applies for certain killers like Demogorgon, even Victor. All of them are able to close distance from here to the window easily. So in every single situation, you want to make sure they don't have clear line of sight of you for when you're about to commit to a vault. So if they wrap around this way, you're going to push this way, and then ready yourself for the window, or if they're so far away, you just keep running. So I said a lot of things, but it's hard to see without an explanation. So I'm gonna have Dino over here. He's gonna play Demogorgon. I told him for the first few loops just to be an M1 killer, just so you guys can see how you normally standard loop this. And also, another thing, keep in mind, once you vault the window 3 times in chase, it's gonna block off the window. So ideally, you wanna get as many rotations as you possibly can before it gets blocked off. So if you can go for another full lap around the Shack and not get hit before you vault, that is a really good situation. Also, while you're looping Killer Shack, keep an eye out for nearby loops. Like, out this door, there's nothing. Hills never have a pallet, they never have a window. If I go to this hill, I'm getting hit, right? But if we look over here, there's a pallet there, there's a pallet here, and there's also my personal favorite one in this situation. There's a pallet right here, right? Because Killer Shack is such a standard and strong loop, Ideally, you want to save it for as long as you can. Now, if you're going to die, and that'll put your team in a very bad situation, like, let's say there's 1 gen to go and he has Pop Goes the Weasel, use Killer Shack. Just drop the damn thing. I've seen too many people over-greed, and it's not worth it if you just die, right? Especially if you're towards endgame, when there's 1-2 gens left. Not a lot of resources are going to be required for the endgame. Okay, let's just say I vaulted this window 3 times, and I don't want to use Killer Shack pallet. If I have enough distance, I'm going to run to the nearest pallet, and then I'm going to start playing this loop, right? Wrap around, and waste as much time as you can here. Use the pallet if you need to. If you want, there's another pallet right here, right? Always keep an eye on your surroundings while you're looping. Like, don't like always look around like, oh, where do I need to go? Where do I need to go? Obviously, make sure you're safe before you look around, but when you vault, just be like, okay, the pallet there. Okay, pallet there. Keep an eye on the killer. Keep an eye on the killer. Boom, bada boom. Get your fast vaults. Keep in mind, you can also get fast vaults from awkward angles as well. Like if I run at this diagonally, that's still a fast vault, right? Still a fast vault. So sometimes killers don't expect that. Sometimes it's hard to pull off. Like if you get too close to the wall like I just did, that's going to be a medium vault. So make sure you got that running start and you can actually hit it from really weird angles. I've actually been able to avoid many hits by fast vaulting an unexpected angle. And it's a really high skill and a really important skill if you can really comfortably hit your fast vaults, right? So I'm gonna get Dino over here. We're gonna get some live examples. So he's gonna be an M1 killer. So always keep an eye on him. So he's going to the middle. I can comfortably make another lap. Now normally I wouldn't loop that direction with the Demogorgon, but let's just pretend this is a trapper right here, a standard M1 killer. See him come around this way, so we're gonna line up this way. I'm gonna use my second vault. I only have 1 more vault left, so I gotta keep that in mind while I'm playing this. So I'm gonna loop standard on the inside. Should be an easy fast vault. And then we play around and go to this side, right? And now we're at another loop. We can wait for the MC blocker to go away. And so on and so forth. So that was one of those diagonal vaults I was talking about, right? Because he wasn't expecting such a tight angle, we're able to get that with the little diagonal vaults. That's what I'm going to call it because I don't have a better name for it. So this is going to be our third vault here. We can hear him pre-shredding. So keep in mind, every killer has their own nuances. Right here, I'm going to fake it. So he was actually pretty good in waiting for me to vault. But we have an E button. We still apparently have another vault here, so I'm gonna whoop, take it again. Jump through the window. And it's still not blocked off somehow. It's still not blocked off somehow. So I think every time I'm vaulting this, I keep breaking chase. I don't know how that didn't hit. That should have hit, in my opinion. And there it is, right? Okay, so if you ever want to practice this, if you got a friend that can just go in the customs with you, and they can even be AFK, like if they're working on school or like they're working from home or something, just ask them to see if they can boot up the game and just go into a custom lobby with you as killer. And they just have to sit in a corner. And I just want you to practice fast vaults, right? Because for a lot of players, while they're learning how to loop, a lot of people will take vaults like this, and they'll end up getting hit from that. A medium vault's animation is a lot longer than it seems. So if you're able to get the fast vaults consistently, like that was too close, right? So just keep practicing where you wrap around and try to get that proper angle so you can make it into a fast vault, right? And then as you get more and more comfortable, you'll be able to do weird diagonal vaults like that, right? Also keep in mind, as you're looping killers, every killer is going to play differently, and it's up to you as the player to read the killer and see what they do. Like if they're constantly looking away before they turn a corner, you should be anticipating them to do that around every corner. So like if, say he tucks around this pallet and I don't have line of sight on him, I'm going to anticipate that he's going to turn this corner backwards, so I'm going to position right here. If I don't see him right away, I'm going to assume he doubled back on the inside. If I can hear him, like if he's Doctor or or Demogorgon or Nemesis, you can usually hear them walking around. Like Doctor, he giggles every time he shocks you. That's really good to hear his positioning if you can't see him. Nemesis stomps around, thump, 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 right? He makes clear audio sounds. Demogorgon, he... right? Like as you just heard. So you can use little audio cues like that on certain killers to figure out if they're trying to mind game you, right? And then because of that, if you don't see them there and you hear them somewhere over here, you immediately start positioning for the vault over here, right? So you don't get caught out. Every player will play differently. Every killer has a different sort of standard looping style. Again, Huntresses, Tricksters, Demogorgons, Victors, even sometimes Nemesis. You don't want to be coming it at from this angle because this limits your options. If the killer's right at the doorway and they have some sort of range, even Deathslinger, if they have a range attack, all they have to do is wait for you to commit to an animation. Like, if you vault this window, they're going to hit you in the window, right? And if your only smart option to do in that situation is go to the window, make it look like you're vaulting, and then last second turn off. But a lot of skilled killers are going to expect this, and they're just going to wait to see what you do. So in an ideal situation while you're looping, instead of going inside and hitting the easy fast vault, just wrap around. So this way, if you make it to here and turn the corner, guess what? They don't have line of sight on you, so they can't see what you're doing. They can't see if you're lining up. If you line up properly, you're in the window, safe and sound. And they also can't see if you're going to run straight. So let's say it's a Huntress, she's right here. I'm running this way. If I see she's near that doorway, I'm going to go over here and turn my camera so I can see that doorway. Bing, bada, boom. If she's not there, I can assume she's going this way or waiting at the doorway with a hatchet charge. So I'm just going to peek a little bit more. If I see her, I turn off. If I don't see her, she's walking this way, and then I keep running or I go for the fast vault, right? So I showed you a little bit on the survivor side. The best thing about Killer Shack, just look around, see what other loops you can use. Because just knowing about a nearby loop, like, if you mind game the killer and they're confused for 2 seconds, like, even a second of them not knowing where you are can be the difference between you making it to another loop, and thus saving Killer Shack pallet. Like, these filler pallets, they're there to be used, right? Ideally, you need to stay alive as long as possible, so if you're able to chain together a bunch of loops, and sometimes, what's even better is you can play a loop like this, and sometimes a Killer Shack will spawn where this is an open window, and then you can incorporate this into your loops. Those are super strong. Killer Shack is already a god window and a god pallet. That's why everyone loves it, because it's two of the strongest looping areas in one little nesting spot. Imagine if you could also tie in a filler pallet to go right into the window. That would be insane. But anyways, I'm rambling too much. We're going to show you the killer perspective. I'm going to bring Huntress to show you what I mean by they can sort of just, like, you have to play differently around them. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask in my streams. I do live stream on Twitch, so it'll be a lot easier to describe certain scenarios when it's live. Like, you can be like, hey, or in the comments below, whatever works. But yeah, onto the killer side. Okay, so we're back as Huntress. I told Dino just to loop his standard way. So ideally as killer, you're trying to give him as little information as possible and force him into awkward situations, right? So right now he's looping this the proper way. I want to force it so he's going that long way so I can pre-charge. And then I just gotta not miss that, right? So this will be a guaranteed hit. Alright, there. He did good in getting that fast vault. You see how killers like Huntress and Deathslinger, if you go from this direction, you're able to round the corner and get a pre-throw right there. I almost actually hit him. And you see how killers such as like Demogorgon, Deathslinger, those kind of killers, they're able to make this kind of distance way faster than other killers, obviously, right? He's playing very safe now, so we gotta force him to go the way I want. That should have been a hit. I threw a little early there, but I didn't have much of an option. So now he's got nothing to do left. So that's a down right there, right? So when you're playing as killer, you have to play to your killer's strengths. If you're a trapper, the best thing a trapper can do is set up traps either before chase to try to catch survivors mid-chase, or set them up during chase, which will deny them that loop. That being said, though, you're not going to catch them, they're just going to leave to another loop, right? We'll do one more just so you guys can see what's going on. So right now, he's in a strong spot. I want to force him. Oh, he's in a really bad spot now. So you see how I went this direction? This forces him to either fake the window or go for a fast vault. And even the fast vault isn't enough once they're animation locked. So yeah, that was a nice and speedy chase just because of positioning. So as killer and also as survivor, you have to watch out on your killer's positioning. Like, are they just going around and around in circles, or do they have a plan to try to put you in an advantageous spot for them to down you? We'll do one more chase. So he's going to this side, which will make it a little bit easier on him. So you see how the angles don't work out when he vaults from that direction? But now since we're forcing him that way... That was... a weird dead hard. So you got anti-blocker, so it's over there. So in this situation, I just gotta aim for the pallet. And there's nothing you can do. So that's generally how you loop Killer Shack from both sides. Keep in mind, again, every killer, every map is gonna have its own little gimmicks. On certain maps, like the Asylum and Father Campbell's Chapel, whatever, that map, be careful, because the Killer Shack windows actually have an indentation. Like, you can actually kind of see it right here. I'm pushing into the wall, and see how it indents like that? On other maps, you can actually get stuck on that indentation, and I've actually died from it multiple times because of that. So every Killer Shack is slightly different in its like sizes and gimmicks and whatnot. And sometimes, like, even Dead Dog Saloon, there's a breakable wall, like, right over there. So the killer can just go, and then they have a shorter loop to get around. So we're gonna pre-throw. And he's forced to dodge. But yeah, generally that's how you loop this. And same, now, Huntress is really strong at Killer Shack, so it won't be this easy when you're playing Killer. And also it takes a little bit of practice. Like, if I were to turn the corner like this, and then turn, I'm showing my red stain. There's a little red light in front of me that's showing the survivor, hey, I'm coming this direction before I even turn the corner. But if I walk like this, they have no warning, boom, sidestep, they suddenly see me and I'm fully charged, right? Charge, boom. You just don't miss your shot, right? We'll do one last chase. I don't think he knew we were chasing. I'll let him get some distance. Okay. So he's in a bad spot here. He messed up. So that would have been a down right there. Okay, you stand. Okay, there we go. So now we're going to loop this from a not ideal situation. He gets that vault for free. I can't do anything about it. Okay, now we're going to an advantageous. He has so much distance, he's going to make that for free. He doesn't even need the vault. So see, remember when I said try to vault as little times as possible? He has so much distance. I heard him slow vault. He has so much distance that he's able to make it without vaulting, right? Anyways, I think that's going to be it for the video. If you have any more questions on how to loop Killer Shack, how to loop certain killers, feel free to ask in the comments. Feel free to ask on Twitch, twitch.tv/Picklesoup. I stream usually most weekdays. I'm also in a Discord as well. You can find all these links in the description below. But if you have any questions you want to ask, definitely ask them away. I'm going to do more of these videos on different structures, like T's and L's. That's a very important loop that you find often. There's jungle gyms, there's long ball jungle gyms. Anyways, that's going to be it for now, guys. I'll see you guys later. Until next time. Bye-bye.